have a big trip planned to Turks and Caicos later this year, so I've really been trying to work out a lot. Doing my push-ups and my sit-ups and my yoga and running, and I've been sweating my ass off. And when you sweat, the primary electrolyte lost is sodium. Athletes can lose up to 7 grams per day. And when sodium isn't replaced, it's common to experience muscle cramps and fatigue. I am mad guilty with the muscle cramps. I don't drink enough water. Truth is, I don't really love how water tastes. Thank God for Element. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. I also love that it's a no questions asked refund type of thing going on at Element. You just try it, totally risk-free, and if you don't like it, share it with a salty friend, and then they give you your money back, no questions asked. You got nothing to lose here. I actually really enjoy this stuff. I drink Element every day now to support my workouts and my runs and stuff like that. Favorite flavor? Ooh, give me the raspberry salt. It's delicious. Citrus, also good. And as a member of our community, Element has a very special offer for you guys. Claim your free, yeah, you heard me, free Element sample pack. You only have to cover the cost of shipping. That's it. Go to drinkelement.com/nodunks. That's drinklmnt.com/nodunks. A little salt, baby.
When I got a beer and my boo at a baseball game. It tickles my throat. Don't ask me to do anything other than hot baseball boy shit, okay? I'm chugging a brewski. I'm with my booski. I'm watching a man run to third base.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. Happy NBA Draft Day. It's Thursday, July 29th. I'm J.E. Skeets, rolling with our sun-kissed Greek man back from vacation, Tass Mellis. What's up, Tass?
What's up, dude? It's great to be back.
Great to have you back. We got our top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Hey,
International man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
Guest producer filling in for JD all week long, Andrew Schleck. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, fellas?
And our special guest joining us here this morning to talk about tonight's NBA draft, a pioneer in basketball analytics, worked 7 years with the Grizzlies as vice president of basketball operations. We know him better now as a colleague at The Athletic, dropping mad info every day. It's John Hollinger. What's up, John?
How's it going? And also, I'm your fellow Atlanta neighbor.
That's true. Where are you?
Enjoying this lovely weather from Alpharetta this morning.
Oh, you're in Alpharetta. Yeah, it is stinking hot. Tass, is it hotter here in Atlanta than it was at the island you were just in?
Yeah, it's absolutely the exact same. Do you feel it? Do you hear the steel drums outside your room? I mean, it's stinking hot there in Alpharetta.
I can't hear the drums over the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Hey, yep.
It's rough right now. John, thank you so much for joining us here. Again, you're doing a lot of work for The Athletic, especially when it comes to the draft. You've ranked your top 70 players. You've already, tackled some big questions and thoughts heading into the draft tonight. I think we'll get to a few of those later. And you've called your shot, like everybody has to. You've done your mock draft. So let's start there. Why, John, do you think the Pistons tonight ultimately end up taking Cade Cunningham at number 1, who you have in your mock draft? What's the reasoning?
I think whoever ends up picking number 1 will take Cade Cunningham, certainly.
Yep.
I think the consensus among everyone is that he's the best player. The Pistons have certainly kept an open mind as far as whether they might prefer to take Jalen Green or Evan Mobley. I wouldn't be completely floored if they decided to trade down, if they got a good enough offer. There's been a lot of chatter about Oklahoma City, especially moving up from number 6, either to number 1 to take Cade or to number 3 to take Evan Mobley. So I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to watch. But ultimately, the history of this thing is, I mean, we've seen teams trade out of the 1 spot once in the last like 20 years. So it's probably going to be Detroit staying at 1 and taking Cade Cunningham.
And do you agree then with most people? I think Sam Vecini has it like when you're doing tiers, it's Cade Cunningham in tier 1 and then everybody else in a lower tier. Or do you think some of these other guys, some of the Jalen's, Mobley, are right there with Cade Cunningham?
I didn't think it was nearly as clear cut, honestly. I felt it was a little closer to the situation of last year where it was like LaMelo and Edwards were the top tier, but differentiating between them, it was pretty close. And I feel that way between Cade and Mobley, especially. But even when you get to I think Scotty Barnes has really high upside. I really like Alperen Sengun, the Turkish center, who's probably going to go a little later in the first round. So I wasn't quite as overwhelmed by Cade, I guess, as some other people were. Mm-hmm. I do think he's a top pick. I think he can really shoot. Good enough defender. Decent handle, although it got a little sloppy. I think he was the turnover proneness, I think, is getting swept under the rug a little bit, though. I think that's definitely a concern with him. So, we'll see how he pans out at an NBA level. But I guess I don't see it like one of those drafts where it's like, oh, Anthony Davis is number 1 and then everyone else is fighting for 2. I just didn't quite see it as that kind of differentiation.
Well, you said we are hearing more chatter, like Thunder Cavs for that number 3 pick. OKC could move up, I guess, take a Mobley. They have the assets, OKC does. And clearly, we know Presti on draft night likes to be active. I think I saw a tweet going around. I didn't fact check it, mind you, but he has made a draft night trade in 9 of the 14 seasons as GM. Sam Presti has. So are they the most likely team to move around in tonight's draft, or is there another team in GM that you could see also being super, super aggressive?
Yeah, I think Houston's going to be moving around a lot. They have picks 23 and 24 right now. I kind of don't see them just making consecutive picks there. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to move one of them or combine them to try to move up or do something to get future picks and move down. They're going to be active with those spots in one way or another. And the Rockets' history is also especially when you get to the second round, they just always do something. So I would expect Houston to be very active. I think we're going to see player trades tonight.
Yeah.
And I think teams are setting themselves up for this coming season and for what is a not great free agent crop, especially outside the point guard position. We already saw that with the Memphis-New Orleans trade, which involved draft picks, but at its root was more a player trade, especially from New Orleans. And so I do think we're going to see more of that tonight, especially these teams the Knicks have 2 picks, but are kind of in win now mode. The Warriors have 7 and 14, but they're not thinking about 3 years from now. They're thinking about right now. Washington at 15 has some urgency with their whole Beal situation. So there's a lot of teams when you get to that middle of the first round that I think are going to be putting their picks in play and trying to see if they can get players out of it. The Lakers at 22 are certainly another one. You're already hearing rumors about a Buddy Hield trade that could happen. Mm-hmm. It would involve it's a little weird because Montrezl Harrell would have to opt into his contract, which he doesn't have to do by the time the draft starts. So I'm not sure how the mechanics of that actually happen.
Sure.
That's definitely the rumor out there, Kuzma, Harrell, and 22 for Buddy Hield. So there's a lot of moving parts, I think, when you get into, especially after these first 5 picks and a lot of player trades, I think we'll see that are associated with the draft, but maybe not about the draft for at least one of the 2 teams.
Yeah, the Warriors to me are super interesting because we had you on the show prior to the draft last year, and it feels like the exact same question for Golden State. They had the 2nd pick last year. It was, are they going to move that pick to try and get some immediate help and try and extend this title window? Obviously, they went with Wiseman. He played about half the season before he went down, and now it feels like he could be on the move as well as these 2 lottery picks they have. What do you think the move is for the Warriors? We've heard that their established stars are kind of putting pressure on the front office to bring in some win now help. Yeah. Do you think that's the move that Golden State needs to make to beef up for the coming season?
Here's the thing. I think a lot of these teams wish the draft was like 2 months from now because they're waiting for Lillard and Bradley Beal to go ahead and demand a trade, right? They're and so they're trying to keep their powder dry for that, I think. And so it's tough for them to go and jump in on a move right now tonight when the guys that they really want might not become available until much later this summer. I think we're seeing that also a little bit like with Philadelphia and their whole situation with Ben Simmons. I mean, I'm sure their first choice is to trade Ben Simmons for Bradley Beal, but that option isn't on the table right now. Mm-hmm. But it easily could be when we get to August, September or whatever. And so I think we're going to see sort of a waiting game a little bit as we get into this off season, which will be a little maddening because it means, potentially that a lot of trades are going to go down like when we're trying to chill on Labor Day weekend and actually get a little bit of an off season. Throw us a bone here, NBA. Like, come on.
Yeah, there is no off season.
If you are the Pistons, they haven't had the number one pick in 50 years. How important is it just from a franchise that isn't a franchise, isn't a free agent destination, just to hang on to that number one pick, have the first choice, have this? Because Cade Cunningham, we've heard fade for Cade all season long. So, I'm sure there's other really good plays in the draft, but how important is it just for that franchise to say, no, we've got the number one pick. We're taking this guy. We're not selling this top pick at any price to any other organization, especially, because Troy Weaver and Sam Presti used to work together. So there's some history there. If Sam Presti says, here's 8 first-round picks, we've got to have the first-round pick because we've got so many. But, how important is it for Detroit to say to their fans, no, this is not up for grabs, this pick?
Yeah, I think that's why it's going to take a Godfather offer for Detroit to ultimately move off of number one, because it has to be such a haul that you can sell it publicly too.
Right.
That you can. I do think there's an element of needing to win the press conference with this, and so you probably don't do that unless you come away with such a haul that it's like, okay, well. Okay, fine. Like, they should do that. Yeah. So, one of the scenarios that I think is really interesting is that they could do a 3-way deal with OKC and Cleveland where they move down from 1 to 3, take Mobley, still get a bunch of stuff from OKC. I wonder about that one even more than moving down to 6. Like, moving down to 6 is kind of a big deal because now like your chances of getting like that big star, they definitely diminish quite a bit when you move down those 5 spots. But going from 1 to 3 and still ending up with Mobley, like, man, that would be kind of tempting for me if the package was good enough.
And is that hypothetical have SGA on the move? I assume then too in this
potentially, yeah. Shea is a name you hear a lot with all these trade proposals. Obviously, the Thunder don't necessarily have to put Shea in a deal, because they have, again, so many future draft picks that they could, they got here, have 9 of them.
Take your pick.
Go ahead. It won't affect us at all. So I think it's interesting from that element, but you can understand why OKC might put Shea in a deal. He's extension eligible this offseason. Him being on the Thunder this year may work at cross purposes to their goals for this season, let's say, in terms of having a high pick again next year. So there is some incentive for OKC to maybe, see.
But isn't that so insane, John? Yeah. Like, SGA is like a borderline all-star player. He's not quite there yet. I think he's going to get there, hopefully in the next season, because I have a weird bet with Trey about it. But like, isn't that ass backwards? Like, to be like, I mean, that's like almost leaning too much into the draft, like into the number one pick.
You see, that's the thing to me is like, the odds of the number 2 or number 3 pick, especially like turning into somebody as good as SGA, is like those odds are underwater. Like you can argue like, okay, well maybe we get Kevin Durant out of it too, but like the most years that's not what you get with those picks, So I agree. Yeah, it's bass backwards, right? Like come on, the whole point of this is to get stars. So you're trading a star to get a 30-40
future star, a maybe star.
You're pricing in too much into the potential of these draft picks at that point, I think.
Sam Presti, I wonder if he was a hoarder as a kid. I mean, he's just keeping these picks forever and ever and ever. Like at some point, if he doesn't trade these picks, OKC is going to be making all 60 selections on NBA draft day. Like, it's
We're
got to
getting
happen at some point here.
They'll have 40 international stashes at one time.
I find it interesting reading your point, Sam, because you made that point about SGA is prohibiting them from getting a number one pick. And in your eyes, this year isn't, Zion Williamson, where, like you said, it isn't a clear-cut number one superstar and then everybody else. Cade Cunningham is a lot closer to the pack, as you mentioned. So let's say you were up there, with the number one selection. Are you taking Cade because he has the I don't know. I guess in your eyes, he's the steadiest player right now. He's got the highest floor, as you've said.
Yeah.
But is there somebody who's got a higher ceiling for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mobley might have a higher ceiling. I mean, you can definitely see shades of like Chris Bosh or Pau Gasol in him. Now he's a big, and our game is devaluing bigs a little bit, so there's that element of it too. But he has the potential to be a real like seek and destroy big man in terms of his ability to be able to guard on the perimeter and do little guy things while being big. Mm-hmm. And so that's a really interesting. He could be a really interesting game changer because of that. I think Scotty Barnes has tremendous upside, but he has to shoot. And so, what kind of odds do you want to put on him becoming a shooter? If he turns into a shooter, he's going to be freaking awesome. Okay. Because he can handle the ball. He's an amazing defender. He's really big. He has long arms. He's not like the most super explosive athlete, but he, again, his size and just his ability to get by guys with long strides, like he's got the rest of the package. And you just wonder if the shot ever comes around with him. So he's more like, he's a higher variance pick to me than Cade, where he might have more upside, but he definitely has way more downside. Cade, I think, is a guy you project to be more like somewhere between Chris Middleton and Jason Tatum. Like he has size, he can really shoot, but not super explosive off the dribble, not that like high level athlete like you see with like LeBron or Kawhi. Like he's not that guy, and I don't think he's like a savant on the ball the way Luka was either. But I think he's in a league where getting high level wings has become the most important thing. He has a really good chance to be a high level wing, and that's something that every team is falling all over themselves trying to get. So his positional value is the highest too, I think.
Right. One thing I'm hoping for tonight at some point, Silver at the podium, be it the Rockets pick, be it the Cavs, maybe somebody's moved up, but does like the number 2 pick, they select, I guess he does say the college before, but I want him to say Jalen and then like a super long pause. So you got to try and figure out whether he's going to say Green or Suggs. And that's my question for you, John. Like, of those 2 Jalens, which one do you like more as for an immediate impact, actually? Let's ask it that way.
Jalen Suggs will make more immediate impact.
Immediate.
I don't think there's any question about that. I'm trying to. I think I had the 2 Jalens 5th and 6th on my board, so I'm pretty neutral. Read Jalen's. The Jalen Green, I think you see a little more upside with him. He's a really good high wire athlete, scorer. I think he's going to be able to shoot the ball. I don't know if he's going to be like a 40% proposition, but he'll shoot it well enough. His handle isn't great. He definitely, a little rough around the edges, which you expect with a teenage player. But some of the other elements were maybe a little disappointing. Like for a guy who's this athletic, like he didn't really show that much on the defensive end or like rebound that much or do some other things. But he gets compared to Zach LaVine a lot in terms of, just an athletic guard who's going to be able to, as he gets more reps, kind of come into that and become a much better player.
But Suggs, you like just plug him into a team right away. I mean, the Raptors obviously are linked to him right now if they stay at the 4th spot. And you see him being a contributing player. Like, is he like, I mean, I'm a draft new, but like, is he a Halliburton type of guy? Like he's like, what's his sort of NBA comp if you could slap one on him?
On the high end, I would say like Jason Kidd, like he has end-to-end speed. He really pushes the ball well in transition and makes hit-ahead passes. Good defender, good size. Shooting is probably just okay. And then half-court pick and roll is probably not a strength at this point. So I like the fit in Toronto where he can weaponize some of the speed they have on the wings with Siakam and OG and push the ball ahead. But then when they get in the half court, he can play next to Fred, and it's kind of Fred's show. And he can play off of him, and he'll shoot well enough to at least be a threat. He'll probably be like a mid-30s three-point shooter. So I like the fit there for him in Toronto quite a bit.
Do you think that is going to be the pick for the Raptors? Because when they jumped up to number 4 on lottery night, the buzz was this is a 4-player draft. Easy stuff for the Raps. They're taking whoever's left over. It's probably going to be Jalen Suggs as we've gotten a little bit closer to the draft here. It feels a little bit more like a 3-player draft. And I know you've got other guys who are on your big board are mocked as higher than either of the Jalen's, right? And like you're saying, Scotty Barnes, I feel like you put him on the Magic because he's the perfect Magic player. The long arms, maybe he can't shoot. He's got to be on the Magic. But is there a chance the Raptors kind of swerve here and go away from one of these Jalen's?
Yeah, I think there's a real chance they take Scotty Barnes. And the thing we don't really know is, like, if you're the Raptors, if you're looking at Siakam trades especially, which is not an unreasonable thing for them to be doing right now, then I think it makes more sense to draft Scotty Barnes. But if you're projecting yourself to have to kind of hold steady with the next few years with OG and Siakam already, Scotty Barnes has a tough time fitting into that then. So I would be a little more skittish about going in that direction. And like the immediate fit with the current roster they have, Jalen Suggs plugs in much better. I do think Scotty Barnes has more long-term upside, but perhaps, especially in a place like Toronto, where they've shown that they can get non-shooters to a point where they can shoot, as they did with OG and Siakam. And, you know, maybe they're not 40% knockdown guys, but like you do have to guard them from the corners now. And when they came to the league, they couldn't shoot. So I like the fit of Barnes there too, in that respect, but I would like it a lot more if they turned around and maybe tried to move off of that Siakam contract and really reset a little younger.
Right.
Yeah, I like how you said it. The Toronto Raptors don't let the consensus dictate what they do. That's the Raptors, baby. Eric Green just writing about that today. Making the Sacramento Kings sort of long-term comparison. Don't just do what the draft board says. Pick the best player that you can, make into, that top shelf player, which the Raptors, they always do. They do a great job of that. I just want to get back to all the trades that we think could potentially happen tonight. I just wonder from, your experience in a front office, considering the lay of the land in the league right now, we had these two teams just make the finals. No one really expected to be there, Milwaukee and Phoenix. You sort of have a changing of the guard with the old guys at the top of the league. You've got the play-in tournament. Is there sort of a movement in the league that GMs are looking at the 30 teams and saying, you know what, we have a chance here? And maybe there's more of a desire to make trades, because it's dumb to try and predict trades, as everybody knows. A lot of these are just going to fizzle out. But I don't know, maybe I'm buying into the fact that there's a little bit more buzz. Is that sort of in the GM's mindset right now?
Yeah, I think the quick turnarounds in Phoenix and Atlanta, what they've done is they've made it harder for GMs to sell their owners on patience.
Right.
So
Sure.
I think it's maybe made for some unrealistic situations with some other teams, and not really looking at what happened this season and how uncommon it is for something like Phoenix or Atlanta, for that matter, to happen more regularly. And honestly, even both those situations were after 3-4 year gestation periods where they were getting their butts kicked every night while bringing in these young players and letting them learn. So, I mean, we definitely have though, like 5 or 6 teams that, whether you think it's realistic or not, are like, yeah, we're making our move this
Sure.
year. Like, Chicago Bulls, let's go, And so,
No picks. No pick.
Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens tonight and what happens next week in free agency, obviously, because of that. But yeah, I am expecting more action than usual because I just think there are more teams than usual that are like, yeah, this year we're making our move and we're going to, consolidate our assets or whatever and really try to be the best team we can be this year. Whereas I think most years there's at least a couple more teams who are adopting a more patient mindset.
Oh,
John,
yeah.
I've got to ask you about one guy you've got him projected at number 10. I've seen him on a few other boards around the same sort of spot. He's the Australian Josh Giddy. Now, the reason I ask is because in recent
you're
years...
Australian.
Yeah, well, I'm Australian.
I'm a homer, as you know.
Look, I heard about Dante Exum, a couple of years before he got drafted. Ben Simmons the same, and both of their dads played in the NBL. But Josh Giddy, I honestly hadn't really heard much about him until the last 3 or 4 months. What did he do that has shot him up to the top 10 pick? I mean, that's pretty high playing in the Australian League, especially when you pointed out as well, shooting is, maybe his biggest weakness. So what has he done that's impressed enough people where he could be potentially a top 10 pick tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Giddy was definitely a guy who was on teams' radar, but maybe not at this level. Like I saw him at Basketball Without Borders right before the pandemic hit. At the All-Star game in it was 2020, I guess. What year is it again? You could see then, like, he had size, he could handle the ball and pass. So there's definitely something interesting there. And I think where he surprised teams with just him being further along as a player who can play against grown men with, like, he's got kind of this thin body. He's not a super athlete. I think teams just thought it would take more time and that he was a guy they had, kind of circled in the 20s and 30s. And with the season he had in Australia this year, and then teams were able to watch him in person, which I think helped him when the Australian national team played in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And he played well there. So I think that helped his stock. And then you talk to people down under, I think they all rave about kind of the off-court package with him in terms of, work ethic, desire to get better, all that. So when teams do their background reports, it came up positive on him. But you're right. I mean, the shot is a real question, is he going to be kind of an Australian Ricky Rubio, or is he, or is that part going to come out of his game where you can get his shot to the point where he's a threat. You have to go over on the screens and then like he's Joe Ingles and he's picking you apart with his passing.
If only he could find an Australian shooting coach to really hone that stroke from deep. One of my favorite headlines from the draft cycle so far, John, was on your big board. It ended with the phrase, "Why Alperen Sengun needs more hype." Why does Alperen Sengun need more hype, John?
Because he's 18 years old and kicked the crap out of a really good European league. I mean, he was the MVP of the Turkish league, which has like 20-something former NBA players in it. You're talking about a league where it has 2 of the absolute best teams in Europe in it, in Efes and Fenerbahce. And like he was the best player in the league. Like it was pretty clear.
Sure.
And, there are questions about how his game translates. I compare him to like a little bit like Kevin Love or Luis Scola, where he's really good around the block, just has such good feel in the painted area, kind of has all the moves. Kevin McHale is another guy I compare him to a little bit. But he has a skill level to him where he can handle the ball, he can pass, he can shoot too. He hasn't had to shoot threes in Europe because he can just dominate inside. But you watch him shoot, like he's going to be able to make NBA threes. It might not happen his first year, but by the time he's 22, 23 or whatever, he'll be able to do that. And the biggest question was with him at the defensive end. He's kind of a little bit, this is the other reason I compare him to Kevin Love. Like he's a little bit between 4 and 5. He's like a 4.5, 6'10", 7-foot wingspan, not like a super elevator or rim protector. Feet seem decent enough on the perimeter. Technique right now is pretty bad. He just can get out like way over his skis and just, guys will just blow past him. But I think we've seen that with a lot of bigs where, as teenagers, they haven't really had to defend on the perimeter and they're a fish out of water, and then they get better at it. So I think maybe teams are undervaluing him because of that defensive aspect a little too much and not looking at the positive aspect of like, this guy could pretty easily be an all-star big man.
And
I
you
think you have him mocked to
Ted.
the Spurs,
Yeah.
right? Which kind of seems like just seems similar to the Magic picking Scotty Barnes. Like, oh, here's the international player that we're all gonna kick ourselves for not taking. Is there a Pokashevsky in this year's draft? Kind of a mystery man from overseas who we don't really know what he's going to be able to do on an NBA level.
Yeah, I don't know if there's quite anybody like that this year in the international class. I mean, Usman Garuba is much more of a known quantity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess a little bit like this Belgian guy, Vrens Blijgenberg, who worked out for a bunch of teams. But I just don't think he's anywhere near as talented as Poku. I don't think he's going to go in the first round. I don't know if he's, he might not go till the 50s. So, I don't really have a good like Poku comp this year.
I don't know. I think that was perfect because Finn B in the stream team, who has a Pokashevsky as his picture, says Vrens Blijgenberg is this year's Poku. So
there you go.
It all adds up to me.
I walked right into it.
Yeah. We got to bring Andrew. Come on in here because you're actually the draft expert right now of the bunch, filling in for JD, as I said, producing. Diehard OKC fan. I know you got some questions for Hollinger here, so have at it. Pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah, I want you to just share with the world why Jared Butler is being underrated, because he's one of my guys. He's one of my favorite guys in this draft, and you have him, I think, at 11th on your big board.
Yeah, I have him 11th on my board. I think the medical is really pushing him down. There were questions, the league had to have a panel of doctors approve him for a heart condition of some kind that we still don't know exactly what it is. But, I mean, teams are going to be doing their own work on that. And then there are some questions about his knees too. And so I think that's going to push him down with some teams more than others. I think generally, especially when you get out of the top 10, 12 picks or so, teams historically have been way too conservative about medical issues. And not just because once you get, I think that the thing they forget is once you get out of the lottery, especially, the risk that the guy can't play is greater than the risk that the guy medically might, break down at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So that said, I mean, I've heard noise about the Lakers with him at 22, but they may end up trading that pick. I think Denver's a really interesting one to watch because they've shown that they're willing to take risks on guys who are medically red flagged by other teams. And so I'd say that's one to watch. But I mean, I agree with you in general that I think Jared Butler's a good player. He can handle the ball. He can shoot it. He's a pretty good defender. He can play both guard spots. I think maybe the medical stuff to me might be an overreaction. I haven't been able to look at, under the hood the way these teams have. So I'm really interested to see how this plays out.
I know we've taken you super, super deep in this draft, John, but I'm going deeper, baby. Is Alex Antetokounmpo going to be the fourth Antetokounmpo brother to play in the league?
I think he might get a two-way, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying there's a good chance.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he'll get drafted,
right.
But he'll play. Supposedly he's going to play summer league with Sacramento, I guess, if he's not picked. And I think there's a decent chance that ends in a two-way somehow. And they at least look, I think some of these teams are just saying okay, it's a two-way. What are the odds of two-way hits? If you have any faith in genetics at all, maybe it can hit here.
Right.
So Giannis calls in a favor. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and all the brothers have rings so far.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, it's good luck.
There you go.
You mentioned there's a lot of right tail players in this draft, John, kind of like really dice rolls, one and dones. Who's your favorite amongst those kind of prospects? Somebody who, maybe it's an early second round pick that actually hits and suddenly we're talking about a major steal.
Yeah. I like, well, let's see. There's a couple guys maybe, but I'm kind of intrigued by JT Thor out of Auburn.
Great name.
Yeah, tremendous name. He's like a great Orlando Magic pick actually for pick 33 for them because he's long arms, kind of raw, but like he showed some scoring potential at Auburn. He can shoot it well enough that you can project him to being like a real NBA shooter at some point. I think it was 6'9" with a 7'2" wingspan, I think, if I remember right. He's definitely an interesting player. I think he'll go in the 30s. So he's probably one of those guys to watch. It's really interesting though, because there's so many of these like you said, one and done. When I talk about a right tail, like when you project the likely outcomes of their career, the most likely outcomes, like the center of the curve, are like not great. But then when you go out, like the right tail of like what the upside of these guys are. Some of these guys, when you get into the Josh Primos or Day'Ron Sharps or whatever, Cam Thomas, you get into some interesting, you can say like, okay, well, there's a decent chance he fails, but there's also a decent chance that he hits and becomes something really good. And that right tail is much stronger on those guys than it is on some of the upperclassmen. So it's going to be interesting to see where teams come down on these guys. Like, I think kind of 15 through 40 is going to get really interesting. Starting with Zaire Williams from Stanford and kind of getting down through the whole list. There were a lot of one and dones who I didn't necessarily expect to stay in this draft that stayed in. And so it's going to be really interesting to see.
Andrew, you got anything else to ask John?
Oh, wow. Yes, I do. I have lots.
I knew you did. We won't keep you much longer, John, but how about it, man?
What's your feel for Kai Jones?
He's almost like these one and done mystery meets, except he's not a one and done. He played 2 years at Texas. Yeah, I mocked him number 11 to Charlotte. I heard a lot of noise that Charlotte liked him. Charlotte may end up going in a different – they may trade the pick, but they may end up going with Corey Kispert there too. He to me, like, I guess I had a harder time getting excited about him than some other people, but he's definitely like, he's big. He can move. He shows some hints of having tools to be a better offensive player. I think like his first year, especially, I think he'll probably be pretty close to a 0 on offense. Like, he's more of a developmental pick to me, but he's interesting. I could definitely see he's kind of a Thunder pick too. So I could see why you're asking me about him. I could definitely see OKC going that way at 16.
One more from me. Everybody's got a Kuminga take. What's your Kuminga take?
Yeah.
I would compare him a little bit to like Andrew Wiggins or Harrison Barnes, where he's a big wing who can get to his spots pretty easily and create a shot, but it's maybe not the greatest shot. And his feel for the game isn't really strong. So I think he makes a lot of sense in that kind of 5 to 10 range. I think I put him 8th on my board, maybe, if I remember right. I'm probably not quite as high on him as some other people are, but I can definitely understand why teams would be interested in him. I think if OKC stays at 6, it sounds like it's either Kuminga or James Bouknight from Connecticut.
Yep.
So that, we'll see what they do there. OKC and they control this draft in some ways because they can go. They have the ability, not just the desire, but the actual ability, because of all the assets they have, to go up, down, or whatever with 6, with 16, with 18, or for picks they don't even have right now. So that they're going to be the most interesting team to watch, I think.
What's it like trying to negotiate with a team like that on draft night, where you're like, they kind of hold all the cards. If they really want to make a huge move here, they probably could. Is it tough to stay in the mix there? Is it tough to get your offers heard? Is it tough to just actually get something done?
I think it's hard. It's hard to compete against them. I think if you're Washington at 15 and you're trying to get, say, the 10th pick from Memphis, and Oklahoma City is at 16 and is also trying to get the 10th pick from Memphis. If you're Washington, you're like, yeah, we're probably going to lose this. We just can't, we just don't have the bullets that OKC does. But
Washington bullets. Nice.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that one. All right. Yeah, you see, I totally lost my train.
Sorry about that.
You were talking watching
draft
yeah.
night in general is interesting though, because you don't have the ability to BS anymore because you're on the clock. So you kind of just got to come in with an offer and be like, are you doing this or not? And there, sometimes there's time for like one round of back and forth, but generally it's just like by the time the draft has started, it's usually just like, look, here's what we're willing to do. And it's kind of either usually the other team tells you yes, other team tells you no, or other team tells you, well, actually, we got this call from this other team and they're giving us way more. So sorry.
Incredible. Well, we're going to start wrapping this up here. We've already kept you longer than we thought we would, John. So thank you so much. I guess my final question, you said there could be a lot of trades tonight. Will we see one of the big names, let's say a Dame, a Beal, or a Ben Simmons traded tonight? Does that happen tonight? No. Okay.
No, you won't see Dame or Beal happen because they haven't pushed it yet to force it to happen. And you won't see Simmons happen because Philadelphia's best case scenario is still trading Ben Simmons for Bradley Beal. So all those, the Simmons bone is connected to the Beal bone, and and it's really that way for the whole kind of this whole roulette wheel around the league. And that's the one thing that could maybe result in fewer trades happening than maybe there could have been.
Right.
Just because some of these teams are going to try to keep their powder dry for later in the summer when they're hoping that Beal or Lillard becomes available.
What will you be doing tonight then during the draft? Are you going to be doing live analysis for the Athletic?
I'm going to be doing live analysis for the Athletic, and then I'll be following up with kind of a recap, best, worst, and whatnot tomorrow morning. So, I'm going to be pretty busy.
Awesome. Well, go get yourself an Athletic subscription. If you haven't already, go to theathletic.com/nodunks so they know that we sent you 50% off right now for new subscribers, so you can read all of John Hollinger's work and all the great work from all the reporters at The Athletic. John, thanks so much. When the weather cools down a little bit, let's meet up in person and actually have a beer or something like that.
Yeah. It would be nice to dine al fresco with y'all at some point, but maybe not right now.
Not right now, but hopefully somewhat soon.
September.
Right. Yeah, exactly. John, thanks so much. We're going to take a break, guys. Lots more still to come, so don't go anywhere. If you're like me, a busy man who hates spelling mistakes, you have no doubt experienced taking forever to craft the perfect email. It can take a ridiculous amount of time. Double checking turns into triple checking. Triple checking turns into quadruple checking. Quadruple checking turns into help me out, Grammarly. Shut up, Lee. Help me out, Grammarly. Quintifer. What'd you say it was, Lee? You're a Grammarly guy.
Quintuple.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, sure. Quintuple? I don't know.
Quintuple.
Yeah. Quadruple checking turns into quintuple checking. Lee, see, that's why. Perfectly played, Ellis. We didn't even practice that. So why not save yourself doubt and time on emails, messages, projects with real-time suggestions from Grammarly Premium? It just helps you work more efficiently. They hit you with clarity suggestions. What does that mean? Well, Grammarly Premium helps you get your message across quickly without repeated or unnecessary words. Vocabulary suggestions, no more searching for synonyms. I used to do that all the time. Now Grammarly Premium's right there, offering great suggestions. So I'm not always using the same words and phrases. I do on the podcast. I repeat myself every day. I mean, you guys do it too. We all got our 3, 4, 5, just things that you can't help but say. But, it helps.
For sure.
Yeah,
we need Grammarly for our voices.
Right?
You may want to replace for sure with that's right.
Man, it works, guys. It definitely works. Not with speech, but yeah, when you're writing things. GP, that's what I call it, can also help with clarity checks, tone, and plagiarism. So cut down on editing time and write more confidently with Grammarly Premium. Get 20% off Grammarly Premium by signing up at Grammarly.com/nodunks. That's 20% off at GRAMMARLY.com/nodunks.
A subject that can be uncomfortable to talk about, but you really need to discuss is life insurance, because if someone relies on you for financial support, you need life insurance. And to properly provide for their families, most people need 10 times the life insurance coverage. Policy Genius makes it easy to compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers all in one place. You can save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius. You could save $1,300 or more per year on life insurance by using Policy Genius to compare policies. The licensed experts at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies, so you can trust them to help you navigate every step of the shopping and buying process. And eligible applicants can get covered in as little as a week thanks to an award-winning policy option that swaps the standard medical exam requirement for a simple phone call. Getting started is easy. Just go to policygenius.com. In minutes, you can work out how much life insurance coverage you need and compare personalized quotes to find your best price. When you're ready to apply, the Policy Genius team will handle the paperwork and scheduling for free, and Policy Genius never sells your information to other companies. I love hearing that. Head to policygenius.com to get started right now. Policy Genius. When it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right.
Dunks. Shout out to the stream team, by the way, for joining us live here this morning. I know I jumped right into it because we had our guest John Hollinger on, but smash that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below the vid and subscribe to No Dunks on YouTube. And keep sending in your questions and comments for the next Beach Stepping podcast. We hit the beach yesterday, had a blast. Email them in, nodunks@theathletic.com. I'm sure your beach was a little bit better than our beach, Tass, like the real beach you were on. No,
I just tuned into the show. It was way better than the beach.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Thank you. Did you like the video? Did you leave a comment below the video? Did you subscribe?
I can't like on the beach. You're crazy, dude.
Oh, okay.
You think I brought a comp to the beach? I brought my headphones.
Did you have a good time though?
Yes, I did. Thanks for asking.
Awesome.
Yes, I did. It was
excellent. Good. Everybody go get your new stream team shirts too over at nodunks.com. Oh, Andrew's all over it. Look at this guy. Tass, I mean, Andrew's been killing it all week long, filling in.
I know.
Yeah.
Good job, Andrew.
Yeah.
Not that you needed to hear it, but thank you.
He's been all over it. So yeah, go to nodunks.com, get your stream team shirt, get that new color variation there of the No Dunks Classic logo. Okay, let's get into the up-down report.
Prepare your tundies. It's the up-down report.
Yeah, the up-down report. Got a couple for you guys. First one, according to the Athletics, Sam Amick, it's looking increasingly likely that Ben Simmons will be on the move. Now, Hollinger says maybe not tonight, but he will be on the move, says Sam. One of Sam's sources close to the situation handicapped Miami, Toronto, and Washington as the most likely landing spots. Lee, we're going to start with you on this one. Again, not tonight, because I believe Hollinger, but up or down on Simmons being traded this summer. He will no longer be playing for the Philadelphia 76ers come the start of next season. You're a thumbs up. Okay.
Yeah, I think we could get the old lock it in graphic back for this one, because it seems it is just a matter of when and how, not a matter of if he gets traded anymore. It seems that they've come to some understanding there. His agent, Rich Paul, apparently has met with Daryl Morey and they've kind of agreed to move on. So now it's really just finding the right destination, the right situation, and the right return for the Philadelphia 76ers. So I think it seems it's virtually a done deal as far as him not being in Philadelphia next season. And that's probably the best for everybody, because Ben Simmons said he was going to go and work on his game. And I think we'll be able to determine that pretty much as soon as next season starts, if he can shoot better, if he's improved in any way. And if he has, then whoever Ben Simmons plays for is getting a very good player. But if he doesn't, if he hasn't improved, then he's going to carry that same sort of question and that cloud hanging over his head as, will he ever be able to develop some sort of shot, some sort of mid-range offensive game? Because that's kind of holding him back from really excelling right now. He's a fantastic player at both ends of the floor. He does a lot of good things for his team. Defensively, he's one of the best in the league. And offensively, he's a really good facilitator, can push the ball. But that shot really not becoming an improving factor in his game so far in his first 4 seasons is starting to become, holding him back a little bit. But it seems that no matter what, he will not be in Philadelphia to start next season.
Yeah, I would agree with that, though. If you believe the reports of what Daryl Morey and the Sixers are asking for Ben Simmons, they're going to have to come down a little bit on their demands. I think the Raptors one was basically their entire starting lineup for Ben Simmons, and the other one was about 20 draft picks, I think, for Ben Simmons. So, I think Morey's shooting for the moon right now, TK, but I'm with you. I've said it, basically as soon as he turned down that dunk in the playoffs, it's like, he's gone. They don't want him there. They got to move on. And I'm with you, Lee. He's going to be traded. It's just a matter of where and when. TK, do you agree? Or is there any chance that Ben's still in a Philadelphia uniform?
Sixers are in a tough spot right now because, like you're saying, Skeets, not only did Ben Simmons pass up the dunk underneath the hoop with 3.5 minutes left, Embiid and Doc Rivers literally buried the guy in the press conference afterwards, basically saying that single play with 3.5 minutes left is the reason we lost this game, which is total nonsense to me. Like, Joel Embiid had 2 turnovers going further on in that game. That was part of the reason you lost too, but clearly they're just done with Simmons. Meanwhile, like Lee's saying, Ben Simmons is really good. Like, the problems show up in the playoffs. We all know the flaws, but he also gets you to the playoffs. That's important. Playing in the playoffs is good. So his value right now, his trade value is at an all-time low. Meanwhile, Daryl Morey knows that he's got a long contract still here. He's still a solid player. So he's asking for everything out there. And like John Hollinger said, like, I'll never forget, the Simmons bone is connected to the Beal bone. So right now, the Sixers should just be waiting for one of these teams, whether it be the Raptors or the Wizards or the Trailblazers, to actually decide to blow things up. And then maybe you step in and you're like, okay, we don't need 7 draft picks if you're going to throw in an all-star. So whenever one of those teams finally balks is when this probably gets done.
Tess, what do you think?
Yeah, he gets dealt for several reasons. I think part of it is the lay of the land right now. You see the teams that just made the finals kind of, put it all together pretty quickly. The Hawks as well make the conference finals pretty quickly. It seems like you can turn it around fast, even though that's not necessarily true. It still takes years to get there. But I think, a lot of GMs are looking at Ben Simmons and saying he could be a huge catalyst on our team, and he could. And I think Daryl Morey is another reason why Ben Simmons gets traded. Daryl Morey is a trader. He's a wheeler. He's a dealer. He didn't get put in there to sit on his laurels. Now, he is in a different position here with the Sixers, holding the best piece, the best piece in the deal here. He's not trying to look for a superstar necessarily. He's trying to look for parts again, unlike what he did with Houston, where he traded Chris Paul. I mean, he's been on both sides, and I think he can find a way to deal Ben Simmons, and Rich Paul will be happy no matter what to get him out of there. I mean, Rich Paul helped get Eric Bledsoe traded, so I'm sure there will be a way to get Ben Simmons out of there. And I think another reason you got to trade him now is Joel Embiid's knees. Joel Embiid isn't getting healthier, even though he had an incredible season, his best season. He still only played 51 games. He was playing on one leg in the playoffs. So you got to go for it. You have to go for it right now. And even though Ben Simmons can still be a great player on the Philadelphia 76ers, it's just probably going to happen somewhere else. But yeah, he needs somebody to come in and be more of a creator. And Ben Simmons took lots of flack after that series, and he should have taken lots of flack. I mean, he didn't shoot when he had a dunk opportunity while Joel Embiid tried to carry that team. So, Embiid needs somebody pretty quick. I mean, how many more years does Embiid have? He needs somebody else to really help him out. Even though he's 27, I don't think those knees are 27 years old. I think those are old. We got to get Hollinger back on to ask him, is Joel Embiid's knee bone 27 years old? How old is that thing? How old is that kneecap? Because how can you rely on that guy night in and night out? I mean, it's a lot to ask of him. That's why they signed him to that contract that they did, where if he got injured, then they get their money back, basically. So, he should get dealt pretty soon.
All right, this next one is hilarious. I couldn't believe it happened while Tass was gone. It had me dying. But according to Miran Fader, the author of the upcoming book, Giannis, The Improbable Rise of an NBA MVP, Jason Kidd, then Bucks head coach, reportedly punished the Bucks in 2014 because one player had the wrong phone. Yes, this is serious here. Fader wrote that when former Bucks center Thon Maker produced an error in the team's group chat by using an Android instead of an iPhone, Kidd made the entire team run laps because Thon had ruined the team's, quote, blue bubble iPhone group chat. Now, we've all been here before. I joked on Twitter. We used to have this issue with Tass, who was an Android guy for a long time, and now is sort of did you go back to the iPhone? I guess I can't remember. But anyway, the question here, the up-down is, are you up or down on shaming that one Android user of the group, that one Android person in your group chat? Trey, we'll start with you. Up or down?
All right. In 2014, if I'm going to Loki this and go back to 2014, shout out to JT Thor. I'm going to Loki this and go back to 2014. Jason Kidd and Thon Maker. I'm with Jason Kidd on this one. I am shaming Thon like Cersei walking through the streets. Shame, shame, shame. Get this man some blue bubbles. But now in 2021, Skeets, I am down on shaming the Android phone user. iPhone users have gone too far at this point. We got to stop using our reactions in group text. Just send text back and forth or switch to WhatsApp. That, to me, is the main problem with this story. Yeah. Jason Kidd, rather than bringing the teams together on a third-party app, decided to drive the teams apart because of blue bubbles and green bubbles. I don't think that's a smart move as a coach. You got to be able to think outside the built-in apps. You got to tell your team to download the apps. You got to start the group chats so that you can all send pictures and videos and maybe like a meme here and there. You know, you got to be able to send memes back and forth. Being able to build technologically, it's a great way to bond. It's a great way to keep everybody on the same page, especially when you're traveling so much. But this is just another case of Jason Kidd botching things to me. Though I'm saying in 2014, I would have been right there with him. We've just gone overboard in the blue bubble game.
Okay.
Botch. Everybody botching this. This is embarrassing. You don't start a group chat in iMessage if you want to have a great group chat. There's so many different apps. Skeets, you said, did I go back from iPhone?
I couldn't remember.
What's my phone history?
Yeah.
You don't remember because we didn't start group chats really in iPhone. It would just be some random picture of somebody sending it in an iMessage chat because we're better than that.
Right.
There are better apps to start group chats in. You don't need to use it. And plus, I mean, yeah, Jason Kidd, do you want to get acclimated with your international players who are quite often not on Apple phones? Let's get with it. Thon Maker's not on an Apple phone. The rest of the world isn't America. There are other countries in this world who don't use Apple phones. Lee's in Europe right now. I'm sure he walks by 90% of people aren't on Apple phones. I don't know that. I'm not a man of the world like Lee is, but the fact is, what a mistake. What a mistake by Jason Kidd to try and start a chat using iMessage. Ridiculous to alienate your player in Thon Maker. Sad, just sad stuff. And I'm sure Giannis wasn't on an iPhone either. I'm sure he came through via Android too with his family. Unless they gave him all free iPhones. I don't know. Wow. It's sad. Very sad.
Yeah. Very defensive there from Tess. Sounds like a real Android user at one point, if you ask me. Lee, where do you land on this one? Up or down? Did he have a point? Kid's like, come on, man. I send a photo, and because we got this one Android user, we can't even see the damn photo now. It's like a tiny thumbnail. Yeah, what do you think, Lee?
Well, if I was Jason Kidd, I would have I guess Thon would have still seen the message. I'm just trying to think, rather than punish the whole team, just put a message on there that Thon wouldn't have been able to see or determine if you want us to punish him. Because the other guys are going like, what the hell are you punishing us for?
Well, that's the whole point of this story, I think. This was Kidd's coaching style.
Yeah.
It's like, if one guy's late to the gym, then everybody's going to be punished.
Yeah, I guess
that's how you'll ultimately get that guy to start showing up on time. Yeah.
But the real key here is I'm both. I have an Apple and I have an Android. I had to pick up the Android for this trip here because you can tether it and use the data on it. So it's worked perfectly. So basically, I've been walking around complete douchebag with two phones lately.
Wow, like you're Paul Pierce, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because you can through Google Fi, you can tether your iPhone to that, but you can't tether your laptop from your Apple on Google Fi, which is like, it's kind of annoying. But I bought that as a sort of like, I just don't know exactly how the internet's going to be in every place I'm going to be. So you grab that, you grab the Google Fi, it's unlimited plan in Europe. It's great. Now I've just got two phones.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, then you're proving Kidd's point. I mean, I think Thon Maker probably makes more money than you were ever making, Lee. Just get a second phone then.
Yeah, he could have done that, or he could have just said, you know what, like Jason Kidd's an old man. He doesn't know what he's doing anyway here. Why doesn't he just get everyone on WhatsApp? Really?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, let's hear from everybody.
Jason Kidd has a kid. Ask him.
No,
ask him what are the kids doing for the group chats, man.
What the kid did.
What was his son's name? We saw him at
JT Thor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He had a big old head when he was like, he's grown into it. He's fine. He's grown into it. Totally normal now, but man. All right, final one here. This one's maybe even crazier than that last one, which was us arguing about Thon Maker having an Android phone in 2014 and Jason.
Wait,
Kidd being
gotta
pissed off about
clarify
it.
here. Apparently, Thon Maker was not on the Bucks in 2014. He didn't make it into the NBA until the 2016-17 season, which at that point, come on, Jason Kidd, WhatsApp was very, very well established. I'm Team Maker here for sure.
Oh, okay. I had that wrong then. I maybe had my source wrong there.
It wasn't
this next one. Oh, okay. Kyrie Irving, guys, had some strong criticism for the latest version of his own Nike shoe. Andrew, maybe you can throw the photo up here while I set this one up, because Kyrie says this on a leak of his own shoe here. Quote, I have nothing to do with the design or marketing of this upcoming Kyrie 8. Okay, again, that's Kyrie writing through his verified Instagram account on this post. These are trash, he continued. I have absolutely nothing to do with them. Nike plans to release it without my okay, regardless of what I say, so I apologize in advance. End quote. And we're showing you the pics here if you're joining us on YouTube live right now or watching a little bit later. I guess these are the leaked Kyrie 8s, and Kyrie is not a fan. So, Tass, are you up or down on Kyrie Irving calling his own shoes trash publicly?
I love it. Absolutely.
Right.
Talk your shit, Kyrie. I mean, don't bow down to the man. Don't bow down to the altar of the brand. We all do it. I mean, look at what we sell on this show. We'll sell anything on this show. But he's not letting the brand speak for him. And in this instance, I mean, he's got a huge deal with Nike, and apparently Nike is coming out with this shoe that Kyrie won't even put on his own Instagram. This is just a verified comment on this other Instagram account, but he won't put that ugly thing on his own account. No, sir. So if he's got an issue, I guess Nike going forward with it without his consent. Sure, why shouldn't he be mad? I know we all, in general, the public will say to Kyrie, "Oh, you talk too much," but why should he concede to this if he has not given the approval? I'm sure it's in his contract that he must approve things.
Maybe it's not in his contract. Yeah. That's probably what this is him saying, I should have more approvals in my contract for this. Because Nike, it's not like they're whipping this shoe up overnight and putting it out. It's not like Kyrie would have had zero opportunity to see this. These take years to research and make and actually get to production stages right here. And to me, this sounds like Kyrie saying, I want more ownership over what my shoe is going to be, both from a marketing perspective, what it looks like, and, just having more control over his brand within Nike, like LeBron does, like Kobe did, like all of these legends who have come before him. Meanwhile, Nike is going to do what Nike does. They're going to keep putting out shoes because that's what they do. And if Kyrie hasn't gotten on board with it yet, there's probably language in the contract that says we're putting out a signature shoe every year. Here's what it's going to be. Hopefully you like it. Yeah. And if he doesn't like it as much right now, perhaps this is a little bit negotiating in public saying, give me a little bit more say-so here.
Yeah, well, maybe you're right, because Kyrie would probably post the excerpt from his contract saying, hey, I can have first rights of a refusal if it actually was in there, because Kyrie's not afraid to post anything. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's not in the contract. It's damn well confusing, though, why a situation would get to this point with the guy who's got the number one selling shoe in the league for like 6 years running, that something is posted a shoe that's made that he doesn't like. I mean, that's just freaking weird.
Apologies in advance.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to start marketing our shirts from now on. New Stream Team shirts, apologies in advance.
This is my hang up with this. Like, Kyrie is not the first Nike athlete to be pissed off or displeased with a shoe. This happens, right, Trey? I mean, you probably know more about this than I do, but stories back to Jordan, didn't like Air Jordan 2 when he saw it, right? And whatever. And LeBron, I think, reworked numbers like LeBron 6, like completely. But the difference is the disagreements usually happen behind closed doors between the brand and the athlete, not Kyrie just blowing it up publicly and saying, I don't like this shoe, or this is not the direction I wanted to go with it. I think that's the huge difference here. And that makes sense with Kyrie Irving. He likes to do this type of stuff, which is, I think rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but then more power to him. It's just this weird little thing here, Lee. It's just weird that, again, this happens. The athlete and the brand disagree on something. I don't think this happens often then, where the athlete just publicly says, this shoe is garbage with my name attached to it, and don't buy it, basically is what he's saying, because I didn't have enough say in it, is what we're led to believe. What do you think, though?
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's just a licensing deal, basically. Nike saying, we'll pay you, you pretend this is your shoe, but we're just going to do all the work and you just have to endorse it. And Kyrie's like, okay, I don't like that at all. I had nothing to do with this. And he's probably saying...
But this is the Kyrie 8, so he was fine with
possibly, yeah. But there may have been something else happen behind the scenes where he did say, okay, I want to have a bit more influence. I don't like these shoes. I don't like the way they're looking. I want this to have a different message, whatever it is. And Nike just said, sorry, contract says we're doing this, so we're doing it. And he's like, okay, well, I'm just going to, blast you on social media, something like that. Because Kyrie is not afraid to sort of just dance to his own beat there. So I'll be interested to see what the response is here, because it's embarrassing for Nike. It's like, man, an athlete, an all-star athlete is just saying these are trash. I mean, that's pretty bad. So maybe that contract comes to an end, or they somehow rectify that and they say, all right, from now on, next shoe, whatever it is, you can have a lot more say and a lot more influence. I'm not sure which way it goes. It really depends on how well those shoes move, and in terms of how much money they make. If the money is there, then you can see Nike kind of bowing to Kyrie. If the money's not there, I can see Nike just saying, you know what, let's cut him loose.
Yeah, just throwing this up here, like Trey said, we had nothing to do with the design or marketing of these Stream Team shirts. These are trash. Absolutely nothing to do with them. Breaking T plans to release these without our okay, regardless of what we say. So we apologize in advance. Everybody go to nodunks.com. Get your Stream Team shirts. Maybe this is just some slick, sick, psycho, twisted marketing here from Kyrie TK. Like, I don't think we can. I mean, I'm joking, but maybe I'm not a little bit. No, I mean, it seems like he was really upset with these, but very weird nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely strange. But Kyrie, remember when the bubble was going to be starting last season, he was saying, we don't even necessarily need the NBA. We could start our own league. The guy understands that ownership is very important, and controlling what your name is attached to is very important. And that, to me, is what he's doing here, is saying, I need to be in charge of Kyrie Irving. So we'll see how it turns out. Can we see those shoes again one more time, though, Andrew? Because one thing that was really surprising to me, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of what these look like so far. We're not getting a great look at them. But are they high tops? That's surprising to me. I thought Kyrie Irving, he's been on the lows game for a little bit here.
Yeah.
Well, I've got two pairs of Kyries at home, and they're more like this one, though. They're a bit higher up.
Yeah, maybe a mid. That's fair.
Yeah, the Friends one, and then there's the other one I've got. And they seem a little higher than the traditional low-cut ones that like Kobe Rufford would be in there. But, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Well, in other Kyrie news, just to slip this in here, I'm sure you guys saw it, Kyrie's foundation partnered with an NGO to build a solar-powered water plant in a Pakistani village that was in desperate need of clean water, electricity, and stuff like that. So kudos to Kyrie on that, but he's always in the headlines for something. It's wild stuff. Let's hear from the Stream Team. Let us know what you think. Are you up or down on Kyrie trashing his own shoes? Does he have a point here? Is he going about it the wrong way? What do you think? Let us know. Okay, we still got tweet of the night, but we got to take one more break to pay the bills, and we love all of these products we're about to sell you. Sports are about more than stats and scores, as we're talking about here. They're about the people and the stories. And The Lead is a daily sports podcast from Wondery and The Athletic that dives into the biggest sports stories of the day, as told by one of The Athletic's reporters who is covering that story up close. It's brilliant. And for the next few weeks, The Lead is turning its attention to the race for gold in Japan, covering stories like the 17-year-old who broke a Usain Bolt record. Whoa! And at the games, who is and isn't a woman, what life is like as a trans athlete. Every weekday, The Lead goes beyond last night's scores to bring you in the most interesting stories that take place at the intersection of sports and culture, all in about 15 minutes each day. Love that. They just had one about Carissa Moore, a 4-time world champion surfer who just won gold at the Tokyo Olympics. I believe that happened today over in Japan. Fascinating look this podcast is at like her training and her mindset, and her dad, who's her coach. Highly recommend it. Follow The Lead on Amazon Music, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Jinxed you, Andrew. Absolutely jinxed you. Should have never said anything. Should have never talked you up to Tassie. I shouldn't have done. Just kidding. StreamYard's being a real weirdo here today. Okay, let's get to tweet of the night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Twitter.
Today's tweet of the night, not even a tweet, Skeets. It's a YouTube thread on our YouTube page. You can like the channel, you can subscribe, like the videos, turn on your notifications, search for No Dunks Inc. on YouTube. You will find us. On yesterday's Beach Steppin' episode, I mentioned how a Tabasco sauce commercial changed my life, and then the stream team suggested that we should make a No Dunks hot sauce, which to me seemed like a tossed off joke, but I got some follow up from my main man, Big Smooth, about getting in touch with a sauce maker, a custom sauce maker. So we put up a question on our YouTube page. What's a good name for a No Dunks hot sauce? And the stream team, the YouTube subscribers came through with some seriously great answers. Here's one from YCram20. We got ourselves some flames.
Okay. All right.
Maybe like a Texas-inspired kind of hot sauce, I think is what that one would be. I also like this from Brendan Neufeld. Instead of a truck that sells food, a sauce that's hot. What do you think, Skeets?
A
sauce
hold on.
hot.
I didn't see any of these comments, but if there's not a Temper Boy,
nice one. Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
All
Go
right,
ahead,
we'll
though.
continue on. This one from Size NZ. We had a lot of these that were playing on Turn Up, Love You Guys, Awesome. Burn Up, Love You Guys, Sauceum, I think was the best, but there are still other ways to play around with that. And then here are my two favorites. This one comes from John Nelson. Beach Pepperin'. I almost like Beach Peppin' a little bit more, but there's something there, I think, with regards peppers stepping. Here comes the hot pepper. That would be Inakamosi's hot sauce, and Task could obviously do a performance for it. But I think this is the suggestion. This one comes to us from Nate Edwards.
Yeah.
A very solid sauce.
Yeah, it's good.
Perhaps a very hot sauce could also be a name for it. We throw Lee's 2 thumbs up on there as well. But we want to hear more suggestions from y'all in the stream team for what we should name a No Dunks hot sauce, and also what kind of flavors a No Dunks hot sauce would be. I don't know if they make a banana flavored hot sauce.
Bananas, hot pepper bananas, aren't they a thing or something like that?
Banana peppers are a thing.
Yeah,
okay. A banana pepper themed sauce. I think they have that at a Steak and Shake, if I'm not mistaken. Nice. And also, if you've got a hot sauce hookup, at me. At me on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want. I'll talk sauce with anyone.
This isn't a bad one. Dorian, I'm not even going to try and click it because StreamYard's being so weird. But Dorian says in the stream team, Atomic Wedgie.
Ooh.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good. I mean, I don't mind the idea of maybe we just have a series of these. A very solid sauce. That'd be Lily's. Temper Boy could be mine. I like Here Comes the Hot Pepper for Task. And then
we got ourselves some flames.
Yeah, we got ourselves some flames for you.
There we go. Some t-shirts in there, I think, as well.
There's a lot of t-shirts in there. They're all trash.
Yeah, apologies. Our sauce is going to be terrible. These sauce makers made these sauce without our consent.
Wow. We're going to get in the sauce game. Is that what we're going to do?
I like this
idea. Then we get Tass's wife. Start putting it into some recipes, maybe another book come out solely about our sauces, Tass.
Sure,
good
man.
synergy there. Yeah.
Multiple sauces.
Get your 4-pack of multiple sauces from No Dunks. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Great brainstorming session.
Yeah.
Love it. All
hey,
right.
Hey, listen, before we go, guys, tonight's the draft, and obviously tonight it's all about Woj. He's not allowed to tip the picks, so you know that because he's at ESPN, but of course he does the lasered in and focused on and hard to resist.
Sean's going to kick his ass anyway, right?
Well, just as the show's been happening, I've actually got someone in my DM saying Josh Giddy is apparently going to be taken number 6 by the Thunder tonight. Apparently, they've been super impressed. And listen,
come on.
listen.
Andrew, come on back here. Lee Ellison is multiple spots.
Listen. I know this is my only chance. If it goes wrong, if I get it wrong, okay, fine. I'll never have another tip again. But this, I can say that I'm only bringing this up because the person who's coming from, I'm like, extremely reliable source.
Okay.
Yeah. So
is
we'll
it Chris
see.
Broussard?
No, it's not. But apparently, this is the information that I'll just read the information because. All
right, this is a Lee bomb. People are
apparently the head coach and owner were at his workout on Tuesday, and were super impressed from him. 2 assistants flew in as well for the workout. So they had a big team, and I think the Thunder coach.
Told it.
I thought it was going to be a little juicier than that.
People watched him work out.
The person, the person who told me, I'm like, okay, that's coming from someone very, very reliable. So we'll see. I so hope he goes so I can beat Woj.
It'd be incredible. I hope you're right. I hope your sources are right. Your sauces are sweet and tasty and hot. But Andrew, would you, as an OKC fan, be excited? Let's say Lee's right here. Let's say his sources are plugged in. You take Giddy tonight. Tomorrow when we talk to you, are you excited or are you like, what? Are you confused?
I'd be a little more giddy if they trade back to get him rather than at 6.
Okay.
And acquire an asset. Because I think the value isn't there at 6.
Okay.
I think the value is more there at like 8 or 9.
Okay.
So
People are saying, is Giddy playing in the Olympics right now, Lee? He is not.
I think he got cut, actually.
Yeah,
I think he was one of the very last ones to get cut, which is,
Okay. All right. Well, Lee's calling a shot. The Lee bomb has been dropped. Giddy at number 6 to OKC.
This is big.
You heard it here first. All right. Go ahead and clip this and post it.
I hope this one happens.
Lee, you gotta forget like clipping this. You gotta tweet this. Tweet it, man. Just like lean into it. My sources say.
You know what? I'm just gonna let me just.
Can you go back? Sometimes you make mistakes. Can you go back to your DM? Is it 6 or is it 16? Because they have both.
Oh, 6. It's 6 because I got asked. He said, "What are you hearing about Josh Giddy?" And I said, "I hear he's going as high as 10." We just spoke to Hollinger.
He asked you?
Yeah, and he said,
"Well, hold on."
No, but then he's saying he's going higher. He was asking me, "Is this?"
Oh, he was like, just seeing if you knew what he knew. Oh,
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
Oh, this is exciting. Okay, Lee, tweet it. You'll either be the next Woj, Shams, or it'll blow up in your face spectacularly. We can talk about it tomorrow. Okay, we got to call it there. This has been a long show. We got the draft tonight, guys. Enjoy that. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, live here on YouTube. We'll turn it around and turn it into the podcast as soon as humanly possible. But we'll be doing our winners and losers from the NBA draft tonight and some of our favorite moments and all that. So if you see something we should be talking about, tweet at us at NoDunksInc on Twitter. And, of course, celebrate and congratulate Lee when Giddy goes to OKC at number 6. Thanks to John Hollinger for joining us. Go get yourself an Athletic subscription, theathletic.com/NoDunks, so they know that we sent you. Get your No Dunks merch. Apologies in advance, NoDunks.com. And, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, we are everywhere. YouTube thread comments, selling shirts. We're selling sauces now. And soon we will talk shit on each other's Instagram accounts, just like Kyrie does. That'll be fun.
Embrace the day, people.